Welcome back to the channel. Rare coins all world. If you've ever wondered if your pocket change could be worth a fortune, you're in for a treat today. We're diving into a coin that could be hiding in your collection, or even in your spare change right now, the 1975 United States 1 cent with a mint mark. You may think it's just a regular penny, but trust me, this little piece of history might be worth far more than you ever imagined. So, let's start by talking about the 1975 penny itself. The United States Mint struck millions of these pennies, and on the surface, it might seem like just another 1 cent coin, featuring the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the front. But here's the catch: there are certain features and potential errors that can make this particular penny incredibly valuable. That's right, a coin that's technically worth 1 cent could, under the right circumstances, be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Now, before we dive into the rare errors and variations that can increase its value, let's look at the basics. The 1975 penny, like most coins from the era, was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, a composition that gives it that distinct reddish-brown hue that we all recognize. The obverse features a profile of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse side traditionally shows the Lincoln Memorial. But what really sets the 1975 penny apart from its modern counterparts is its potential for error, and that's where the real value lies. One of the most exciting things about the 1975 penny is the possibility of it having a rare minting error. The minting process is delicate, and mistakes happen from time to time, creating coins that are much more valuable than their face value. One error in particular that collectors go wild over is the double die error. If you're not familiar, a double die error occurs when a coin is struck more than once, causing the design to be slightly misaligned. This results in a blurry or doubled image on the coin, which can be found in various places on the penny, especially in the lettering and design features. For the 1975 penny, the double die error typically shows up around the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," as well as in Lincoln's date of birth and the motto. These errors can be very subtle, so it's important to closely examine your penny with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to look for any signs of double striking. If you see the text or Lincoln's profile showing signs of doubling, you've got yourself a rare find. Another error to look out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted to one side. An off-center strike can create a visually striking coin, with a portion of the penny's design slightly off the edge or even missing entirely. The more extreme the off-center error, the more valuable the coin can be. So, if you come across a 1975 penny with an off-center strike, especially one that shows a major design misalignment, you may be looking at a coin that's worth much more than just a penny. Additionally, we need to mention the possibility of clipped planchets. This is another error that occurs during the minting process when the metal planchet used to strike the coin is cut improperly. This can result in a penny with a clipped edge or a missing chunk of its rim. While clipped planchets are relatively rare, they're highly collectible and can significantly increase the value of your coin. If you spot a 1975 penny with an irregular or clipped edge, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. Now, you might be wondering, why are these errors so valuable? The reason these mistakes are so highly sought after by collectors is simple: rarity. When a coin is minted incorrectly, it becomes a one-of-a-kind piece of history. And as any seasoned collector will tell you, rarity is the driving force behind value in the world of coin collecting. A coin with a minting error is no longer just a piece of currency, it becomes a unique artifact, a treasure that stands out among millions of perfectly minted coins. A 1975 penny in mint condition with no errors is worth its face value, just 1 cent. But a 1975 penny with a rare error, like a double die, off-center strike, or clipped planchet, can fetch a much higher price. And how much higher, you ask? A well-preserved, error-free 1975 penny is worth very little. But a 1975 penny with a significant minting error can be worth upwards of $48,000. Yes, you heard that right, $48,000 for a 1975 penny. That's a serious chunk of change for a coin that, on its own, is worth a mere cent. The actual value of a 1975 penny with a rare error depends on the severity of the error, the condition of the coin, and the demand from collectors. The more noticeable and significant the error, the higher the price. Coins that are in near-perfect condition, free of wear and tear, will command a premium price. So, how do you spot one of these valuable 1975 pennies? Here's what you should do: look at the lettering, examine the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" under magnification for any signs of doubling or blurring, check for off-center strikes, hold the penny up to the light and look for any parts of the design that seem misaligned or shifted, examine the edge, look closely at the edge of the coin for any irregularities, such as a clipped planchet, check the date, look at the year, 1975, on the coin, especially in the area around the digits, for any sign of doubling. Once you've found a 1975 penny with an error, it's important to have it professionally graded. A reputable grading service will evaluate the coin's condition, verify the error, and assign a grade. A high-grade coin with a significant error could be worth a fortune, but proper grading ensures you know exactly what you're working with. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever found a coin with an error that turned out to be worth a lot more than you expected? Or perhaps you found a 1975 penny and are unsure if it contains an error? Drop a comment below and share your experiences. Maybe you've got a hidden treasure in your collection. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins that could be sitting in your spare change or hidden in your collection, the 1976 United States 1 cent with the mint mark. You might be thinking, it's just a regular penny, right? Well, not quite. This coin has more value and history than you might expect, and you might be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. In 1976, the U.S. Mint celebrated the country's 200th anniversary of independence with a special bicentennial coin program. The 1976 penny, just like other coins of that year, was designed with an eye-catching feature, the famous bicentennial reverse. But as with all coins from the minting process, mistakes happen. And sometimes, these mistakes make a coin more valuable than anyone could have imagined. That's exactly what we're going to explore today, the valuable 1976 penny, and the errors that can turn it into a collector's dream. First, let's take a look at the key features of this coin. The obverse, or the front of the penny, features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, which has graced the penny since 1909. Nothing special there, that's just classic Lincoln. But when you flip the coin over, things get interesting. In 1976, as part of the bicentennial celebrations, the reverse side of the coin was redesigned to feature a colonial drummer, marking the 200th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The design is rich with history, symbolizing the birth of a new nation. So, what makes the 1976 penny valuable? It's not just the design, although that adds a nice touch of Americana. The true value comes from the errors and variations that occurred during the minting process. As with any coin, sometimes the process doesn't go as planned, and that's where the money-making potential lies. Let's take a closer look at the types of errors that can make this penny worth far more than 1 cent. One of the most exciting errors to look out for in the 1976 penny is the double die error. This happens when a coin is struck more than once by the minting press, resulting in a slight shift or doubling of the design. For the 1976 penny, you might notice that the text, such as "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," could appear blurry or even doubled. The doubling can be very subtle, but if you look closely, especially under magnification, you may spot that double strike. Collectors go wild for this kind of error because it makes the coin unique. The more pronounced the doubling, the more valuable the coin. Another error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted to one side. If you look at the coin and see that the image or the lettering is off-center, then you've likely found an off-center strike. These types of errors are rare and highly sought after by collectors because they make a coin look unusual and unique. Depending on how off-center the design is, the value can increase significantly. especially if the mistake is especially noticeable. Let's also talk about the clipped planchet error, which is another mistake that can increase the value of a 1976 penny. The planchet is the metal blank that is used to strike the coin, and sometimes, if the metal is not cut properly, it can result in a clipped edge. This could mean part of the penny's edge is missing or the coin has an irregular shape. A clipped planchet error is very rare, and when found on a coin like the 1976 penny, it can be highly valuable. So, why are these errors so valuable? It all comes down to rarity. Coins with minting mistakes are highly sought after because they're unique. A regular 1976 penny might only be worth 1 cent, but a 1976 penny with an error, whether it's a double die, off-center strike, or clipped planchet, becomes a one-of-a-kind piece of numismatic history. As with any collectible, rarity and uniqueness are key drivers of value. The more unusual the mistake, the more collectors are willing to pay. Now, you might be asking, how much is my 1976 penny really worth? Well, let's get to the exciting part, the price. If you have a 1976 penny with an error, especially a significant one like a double die, off-center strike, or clipped planchet, you could be looking at a coin that's worth a lot more than its face value. Depending on the type and severity of the error, the value of a 1976 penny with the right mistake can range anywhere from a few $100s to a whopping $53,000. Yes, that's right, a single penny could be worth $53,000. Of course, the value of your 1976 penny will depend on the error, the condition of the coin, and its demand among collectors. The more pronounced the error and the better the condition of the coin, the higher the price you can expect. Coins that are in mint condition, meaning they've never been circulated or show little wear, will always fetch a higher price than those that have been worn down by time. So, how do you spot a valuable 1976 penny with an error? It's all about careful inspection. First, examine the lettering and design closely for any signs of doubling. A magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe will come in handy here. Look at the Liberty and In God We Trust inscriptions for any signs of blurring or doubling. Next, check the overall alignment of the design. If it looks off-center or you see parts of the coin's design missing, you might have an off-center strike on your hands. Lastly, check the edges for any irregularities that could indicate a clipped planchet. Once you've identified an error coin, the next step is to get it professionally graded. Professional grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, will assess the condition of your coin, verify the error, and assign a grade. A high-grade coin with a significant error will always be worth more, so getting your coin certified can ensure you know exactly what you have. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Have you ever come across a coin with an error that turned out to be more valuable than you thought? Or perhaps you found a 1976 penny and are wondering if it's worth something? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. Today, we have an incredibly exciting topic that might just have you checking through your spare change or digging through your coin jar. It's time to talk about the 1972 United States 1-cent coin, and no, this isn't just your average penny. In fact, this small but mighty coin could be worth much more than you think. If you've ever wondered how a humble penny can be worth thousands of dollars, stick around because we're about to reveal some secrets about the 1972 penny that could blow your mind. Now, let's start by talking about what makes the 1972 penny stand out in the world of coin collecting. Like all pennies, the 1972 1-cent coin features the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the front, which has been a familiar sight on U.S. pennies since 1909. On the reverse, you'll find the classic image of the Lincoln Memorial, which has been used on pennies from 1959 to 2008. However, it's not the design itself that makes this penny so special, it's what you might find in certain 1972 pennies that could make them worth a small fortune. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1972 penny is its potential for error. If you've ever heard of the term minting error, you know that sometimes things don't go according to plan when coins are made. In fact, a minting error can be the key to turning an ordinary coin into a highly valuable collector's item. And this is exactly where the 1972 penny comes into play. There are a few key errors that can make the 1972 penny particularly valuable, and we'll walk you through the ones you need to look out for. The first error to keep your eyes peeled for is the double die error. This is one of the most exciting and sought-after errors in the coin world. A double die occurs when the coin is struck more than once by the minting press, resulting in a double image. For the 1972 penny, this error typically appears around the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" on the obverse, front, of the coin. You might notice that these inscriptions appear blurry or even doubled, and if you're lucky enough to find one of these double die pennies, you could be looking at a coin that's worth a lot more than 1 cent. Another type of error that can increase the value of the 1972 penny is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not perfectly aligned when it's struck, causing the design to be off-center. The result? Part of the coin's design might be missing, or the entire design might be shifted to one side. If you come across a 1972 penny with this type of error, it's a rare find, and it could be worth a lot more than just its face value. Off-center strikes are particularly prized by collectors because they are a visual oddity, making them stand out in a way that regular, perfectly minted coins just don't. We also have to talk about the clipped planchet error. This happens when the metal blank, or planchet, used to strike the coin is not cut properly before it's pressed into its final shape. This can cause part of the coin's edge to be clipped or missing. While these types of errors are relatively rare, they are incredibly valuable to collectors. A clipped planchet error on a 1972 penny would make it stand out from the rest, and it could be worth significantly more than its standard counterpart. So, why are these errors so valuable? As with most things in the world of collectibles, rarity is key. Minting errors make a coin unique, and collectors are always on the lookout for rare, one-of-a-kind pieces. A regular 1972 penny might only be worth 1 cent, but a 1972 penny with a double die error, an off-center strike, or a clipped planchet can be worth a fortune. The more pronounced and noticeable the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. Coins with minting mistakes are highly sought after by numismatists. That's the fancy term for coin collectors, and the more error-prone a coin is, the higher its price can climb. Now, you might be wondering, how much is my 1972 penny worth if it has one of these errors? Well, let me tell you, it could be worth a lot more than you think. If you come across a 1972 penny with a double die error or another significant minting error, you could be holding onto something worth thousands of dollars. In fact, some of these error pennies have been known to sell for as much as $63,000. That's right, a penny that's more than 4 decades old could be worth $63,000, depending on the type of error and its condition. Now, I know that's a big number, but it's important to note that not every 1972 penny with an error will be worth that much. The value of the coin depends on a few factors: the severity of the error, the condition of the coin, and, of course, the demand from collectors. A coin in perfect condition with a large, noticeable error will always fetch a higher price than one with a minor error or wear and tear. So, if you find a 1972 penny with an error, it's a good idea to get it professionally graded by a reputable service like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. Grading will help you understand the true value of your coin and can even increase its selling price if you decide to auction it off. So, how do you spot these valuable errors? The key is careful inspection. First, check for any signs of doubling around the lettering, especially "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Look for blurry or duplicated text that might suggest a double die error. Then, examine the alignment of the design. If you see that the image appears off-center or part of the design is missing, you might have an off-center strike. Finally, take a close look at the edges of the coin to see if you can spot a clipped planchet. Once you've identified an error coin, it's time to get it professionally graded and appraised. Once graded, the coin's value will be much clearer, and you'll know exactly what you have in your hands. Before we wrap things up, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever found a 1972 penny with an error? Or perhaps you've discovered other valuable coins in your collection? Drop a comment below and let me know your experiences. I'd love to hear about your finds. Today's video is just for you. We're going to talk about a very special coin that could be sitting in your collection or even in your pocket right now, the 1973 United States 1 cent. This seemingly ordinary penny holds a secret that could make it worth thousands, or even tens of thousands, of dollars. At first glance, the 1973 penny may seem like just another coin that you see every day, but that's where the magic of coin collecting comes in. You see, certain coins are more than just currency, they're miniature pieces of history. And the 1973 1 cent is one of those coins that has a hidden potential to be much more valuable than you'd think. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone new to the world of numismatics, you won't want to miss what we're about to discuss. First, let's set the scene. The 1973 penny is part of the series that was minted during the early 1970s, a time when U.S. coinage had already featured Abraham Lincoln's image on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. This design had been in circulation for decades, and in 1973, it was no different. The penny still had that iconic portrait of Lincoln, a staple in American currency since 1909. On the reverse side, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, which had adorned the penny since 1959. However, here's the catch. While most 1973 pennies were produced without incident, some of them have a special characteristic that could set them apart from the rest. These pennies were struck with a minting error, making them rare and incredibly valuable to collectors. So, if you're digging through your change jar or going through a box of pennies, keep an eye out for these unique and potentially lucrative finds. The first error you'll want to watch for is the double die error. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned or defective, causing the design to appear doubled. In the case of the 1973 penny, you might notice that the inscriptions on the coin, such as "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," seem blurry or have a second, faint image layered over the original. The doubling effect can vary, but when it's noticeable and distinct, the value of the coin can skyrocket. Double die errors are among the most desirable and valuable errors in the world of coin collecting, and the 1973 penny is no exception. If you happen to come across one of these coins, you could be holding onto a piece of numismatic history. The more pronounced the doubling and the clearer the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes. Keep in mind, these kinds of errors are rare, and finding one means you're among a small group of collectors who have one in their possession. Another significant error to watch for is the off-center strike. This happens when the planchet, the blank metal disc used to strike the coin, is not aligned properly with the dies. As a result, the design may appear to be shifted to one side of the coin. If the misalignment is severe enough, part of the coin's design could be missing entirely. These off-center strikes are also highly sought after by collectors because of their distinct and unique appearance. The more extreme the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin becomes. One other thing that collectors keep an eye out for is the clipped planchet. This error occurs when the metal blank that is being used to mint the coin is cut incorrectly, resulting in a missing portion of the coin's edge. This can create a coin that looks like it's been clipped or even has an irregular shape. A clipped planchet on a 1973 penny would immediately make it stand out from the rest of the minted coins, giving it a rarity that could drive up its value. You might be wondering, why are these minting errors so valuable? Well, the answer lies in the rarity and uniqueness of the coin. When the U.S. Mint strikes a coin with an error, it's no longer just a regular piece of currency. It becomes a piece of history, a mistake that can't be recreated. Collectors cherish these rare finds because they're not just about owning a coin, they're about owning something truly special and one of a kind. As with any collectible, rarity is a huge factor in determining value, and minting errors are an easy way to make a coin stand out from the thousands of others in circulation. So, let's get to the exciting part. How much can your 1973 penny actually be worth? Well, depending on the type and severity of the error, the value can vary widely. If your penny has one of these rare errors, like a well-defined double die, an off-center strike, or a clipped planchet, you could be sitting on a small fortune. In fact, some 1973 pennies with significant errors have been known to sell for as much as $70,000. That's right, a single penny, one that's been sitting around for over 40 years, could be worth $70,000. Of course, not every 1973 penny with an error will fetch that kind of price. The value depends on a number of factors, including the error's severity, the coin's condition, and the demand among collectors. The rarer and more noticeable the error, the higher the value of the coin. So, if you think you found a 1973 penny with a significant minting error, it's a good idea to get it professionally graded by a reputable grading service like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS. These organizations will assess your coin's quality and authenticity, which can help you determine its exact value. Now, you might be wondering how to spot one of these rare and valuable 1973 pennies. The best way to start is by looking for any signs of doubling, especially around the text on the obverse of the coin. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to check the inscriptions for any signs of blurriness or duplication. Next, check for any off-center strikes by examining the alignment of the design on the coin. If the design seems misaligned, you may have found a winner. Finally, inspect the edges of the coin for any irregularities that could suggest a clipped planchet. Once you've identified a potential error coin, the next step is to have it professionally graded. A high-quality coin with a significant error can fetch a much higher price, and grading services will ensure that you know exactly what you have on your hands. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever come across a 1973 penny with a unique error? Or maybe you found another rare coin with an interesting story behind it? Drop a comment below and share your experiences. I'd love to hear from you. Today might just be your lucky day. We're about to talk about a very special coin, the 1981 United States 1 cent, or more commonly known as the 1981 penny. Now, you might think this is just another old coin with no real value, but trust me, there's much more to this little penny than meets the eye. Stick around, because we're going to dive into what makes this coin so unique and why it could be worth an incredible amount of money. Before we jump into the errors and potential for big profits, let's talk a little bit about the history and design of the 1981 penny. Like most U.S. pennies, the 1981 penny features the profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, that's the front, of the coin. This design has been around since 1909, making it one of the most iconic images in American coinage. On the reverse, that's the back, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, which had been the design on pennies from 1959 to 2008. Nothing too out of the ordinary, right? But hang on, it's not the design we're focusing on today. Here's where it gets interesting. While most 1981 pennies were minted just like any other penny from that era, some of them have certain characteristics or errors that make them far more valuable than you might think. Minting errors are common in the world of coin collecting, and they can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a rare treasure. So, let's talk about the types of errors you should look out for in a 1981 penny that could make it worth far more than just 1 cent. The most exciting error associated with the 1981 penny is the double die error. This is a minting mistake that happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned or not properly set. As a result, the design appears to be doubled, with the text or images on the coin looking blurry or duplicated. For the 1981 penny, this often happens around the inscription "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" on the obverse. The doubling might not be obvious at first glance, but if you closely examine the coin with a magnifying glass, you'll notice that the letters are slightly misaligned or that there's a shadow effect around the text. This doubling is a rare error, and coins that feature it are highly sought after by collectors. The reason why these double die pennies are so valuable is that they are considered a mistake by the mint, and errors like this are incredibly rare. Coin collectors love finding these kinds of errors because they're unique and can't be found in every batch of coins. In fact, if you happen to find a 1981 penny with this double die error in great condition, you could have a coin worth far more than you might have imagined, but the double die error isn't the only thing that makes the 1981 penny valuable. Another minting error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the planchet, the blank metal disc used to strike the coin, isn't properly aligned with the dies during the minting process. As a result, the design gets struck off-center, meaning that part of the coin's design may be missing, or it might be pushed too far to one side. Off-center strikes are unique and can create a coin that looks completely different from a typical penny, which is exactly why collectors are so interested in them. The more severe the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin becomes. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare misprints, you might have just found a hidden gem, and then there's the clipped planchet error. This happens when the metal blank, or planchet, used to create the penny isn't properly cut before it's struck with the design. This can cause a portion of the coin to be missing, leaving an unusual edge that looks clipped or incomplete. A clipped planchet error is another rare find that makes the coin stand out from the rest, and collectors absolutely love these types of oddities. It's a mistake that's hard to replicate, and that rarity is what makes the coin valuable. Now, let's get to the exciting part. How much is your 1981 penny worth if it has one of these errors? Well, let's just say that depending on the type of error and the condition of the coin, you could be holding onto a coin worth a whole lot more than just 1 cent. In fact, some of the most valuable 1981 pennies with these minting errors have been known to sell for as much as $74,000. Yes, you read that correctly. A single penny could be worth $74,000 if it has the right error and is in great condition. Of course, not every 1981 penny with an error will fetch that kind of price. The value of the coin is determined by factors such as the severity of the error, the condition of the coin, and the current demand from collectors. Coins in excellent condition, especially those with noticeable and rare errors, will always be worth more. If you think you found one of these rare error coins, it's a good idea to have it professionally graded by a reputable grading service like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. These organizations will give your coin an official grade and authenticate its value, which can increase its selling price. Now, how do you spot a valuable 1981 penny? The first thing to do is carefully inspect the text on the obverse of the coin. Look for any signs of doubling or misalignment around the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." If you notice any doubling, that's a great sign that you might have a double die error. Next, check the alignment of the design on the coin. If it seems off-center or part of the design is missing, you might have an off-center strike. Finally, take a close look at the edges of the coin to see if there are any irregularities that suggest a clipped planchet. Once you've identified an error coin, the next step is to have it professionally graded. This will help you determine the exact value of your coin and ensure that you're not underestimating its worth. A well-graded error coin can fetch a much higher price, and grading services will provide you with a certificate of authenticity, which is crucial for selling the coin at auction or to a private buyer. Before we finish, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever found a 1981 penny with a minting error? Or maybe you've discovered other valuable coins hidden in your collection? Leave a comment below and share your experiences. I'd love to hear your stories and see what you found. Thank you for joining me today. If you found this video helpful and exciting, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any future content. Who knows, you could be the next person to find a penny worth $74,000. Happy coin hunting, and I'll see you in the next video.